Ramaswamy were on Capitol Hill today, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, to meet with Republicans to pitch their new Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOGE, which is the same name as Elon's crypto coin. Anyway, they're going to make cuts of the trillions of variety, they say. Okay, can they? Sure. Will they? Let's discuss. They also are thinking about cutting daylight savings time changes, which they say costs the American economy nearly $500 million a year. Remote working, funding to things like PBS and Planned Parenthood. These are very small slices of spending, but they're big politically, right? So how did it go over? And there's a big question I got to start with. Let's bring in Texas Republican member of Congress Pete Sessions, who launched the DOGE caucus and serves as its co-chair. Is that your new nickname? Should I call you DOGE now, Congressman?
You know, that's fair game, Chris. You have known me for a long time. You have known from the very beginning I am for efficiency and give the government every dollar they need, but not a penny more.
I got it. All the government you need, but only the government you need. Why no Democrats? Why not give it a chance to work together?
Well, in fact, we have 4 Democrats that have signed up with the DOGE caucus as of today. Open invitation. They took us up on it, and they will be welcome with what we do. And they'll be given authority and responsibility to fully participate with us.
Right, but they weren't there today, so it doesn't send a great signal. But I know Moskowitz and some of the other guys still hold out hope of doing this. I just think that the sooner you stop the division stuff, the better a chance you have of getting anything done. Are you now working for Musk and Ramaswamy? Do they get to tell you, here's what you need to cut?
You know, that's an interesting question. I think that we took their conversation today, both of them, while they were not scripted with each other, they both have a similar story to tell, and that story is, while they have built great fortunes and great organizations, they're worried about the country. And the country, as we know it, is going to double its debt in just a matter of years, Chris, and we simply cannot pay for that. Things double every 7 years. Mm-hmm. It gets out of control. But what we're trying to do here is to use, I think, what the American public saw, and that was too many offices of the federal government did not report to work. As you know, the passport office became a national problem. We have a problem here in Washington, D.C., the Ronald Reagan building. We have dealt with, myself as the chairman for government reform and oversight of the subcommittee that's responsible for government operations and federal workforce. We pled with the GAO, we pled with OMB and OPM to please give us an idea about efficiency and what the plans were. And OMB and OPM did not provide us information. They told us what the president's goal was, but the largest building here in Washington, D.C., as best we can tell, 60% of the employees came less than 1 day a week. And that is not the spirit of what the president offered us as an opportunity to have a government that would work with and on behalf of its people.
I get it. Let me ask you one thing, because I know it's early, and I'm not going to try and hold you up on details. And as it develops, you know you're always welcome here to talk about it. What is your best guess of what the biggest target will be at this point?
Well, the biggest target is going to start with, I believe, getting workers back to work. You saw that
the stay-at-home work is going to be gone.
Well, you know, if we're going to offer an analysis of how much work is done, we're going to ask the question, how far behind are you? And government is well behind. The IRS, a long time. OPM, months. And so why not get back to work? And let's then determine how many people we need. But it would be irresponsible for us just to go and tell everybody we don't need you.
Just to understand, well, that's the way Musk likes to do it. But just so people know, mandatory spending $3.8 trillion, discretionary spending $1.7 trillion. Half of that is military, some $860 billion. Is the Pentagon on the block? Will you guys finally make the cuts that people have been saying that the military could take for a decade?
I don't think that there's anything about this exercise that tells us that we won't put everything on the table. We have a website right now, DOGE at mail.house.gov. We're encouraging people all over, from industry, from government, from individuals. Tell us the things that you think we should be looking at, and then we will look at those. It is not going to be something where we just come in and slash and burn. It will be a deliberate information where we are going to not take time, but we will, in a disciplined fashion, determine what those cuts would be and changes. And we had asked the Biden administration for 4 years to do this. They refused to do it.
Listen, I get it. And look, we both remember what happened with the tax cuts that we talked about so much. And then Trump didn't want to cut any spending. Then the pandemic came and he had to write more, and he ballooned the deficit also. So both parties can get sideways on this. It's nice when you got the power of the purse strings. Everything you guys decide to do that you get resistance on, you got a platform right here, Congressman, to make the case. Take care. Beautiful Christmas to you and the family if I don't speak to you. Whenever you want.
You betcha. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Be well. All right, let me bring in Adam Smith, Representative Adam Smith, Democrat, Washington. It's good to have you, Adam.
Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to your family as well. Your namesake, Adam Smith, the economist, would have loved this. And he would have said, this is great, man. The more you compare back on the public sector, the better it will be for the private sector. What's your big concern about what's going to get cut here?
First of all, I disagree with your take on my namesake. He's a bit more of a complicated dude than most people realize, having studied it a little bit, given my name. But second of all, we get two separate things going on here. And one's great, which is government needs to be more efficient. And I'm with Pete on getting people back into the building. That doesn't necessarily save any money. I'm also with him and looking at where are we spending money? How can we be more efficient?
It saves money if they don't come back. And that's what Musk is banking on.
That's fine. It probably, well, maybe a few. We'll see in terms of the work gets done. But at the Pentagon, I'm all in favor of it. Let's get more efficient. Let's get more effective. But then when you start talking about how much money you're going to save, that's where we do not have a debt and a deficit problem because of government inefficiency. Okay, we have a debt and a deficit problem because we keep increasing spending and cutting taxes on massively, in most cases, fairly popular programs. If you do what Musk and Ramaswamy are talking about doing, and you do it really well, and you get in there and you make government more efficient, you could probably save billions. I'd even go so far as to say you could probably save tens of billions. You're not going to save hundreds of billions, and you're not going to save $2 trillion by any stretch of the imagination unless you cut specific programs and increase revenue. And for all of the fanfare and all of the excitement about how we're going to have the deficit, you will notice they haven't named one specific thing that they're going to cut that amounts to any amount of money yet. So that's where this process sort of runs into a problem in my mind.
What is the prudence in the conduct of every private family can scarce be folly in that of a great kingdom? Adam Smith, referring that government should be like households, live within your means. Democrats are constantly cited for liking to tax and spend, but not cut spending. Is that true? Yeah. And is it time to change it if so?
You said earlier it's bipartisan. I don't think you can pick one particular party. The deficit went up by more, the debt went up by more than under any other president under Trump. So yes, there is a bipartisan desire to cut taxes and increase spending. And that is a problem we have to get after. But that requires tough choices. That's not just a matter of government efficiency. I will also remind you that Adam Smith said, whenever two or more business people gather in one place, it is to conspire against the public good. He knew that there had to be a balance between the private sector and the public sector. And that's what we're trying to strive. Now, I want to emphasize one thing. Pete's a good friend of mine, and I think we need to get after it and try to make government as efficient as possible. But let's not BS the public that this is going to balance our budget and save us $2 trillion. Right. You mentioned the mandatory part of the spending. It's $4.8 trillion, not 3.8, by the way. But that's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
These were 2023 numbers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Medicaid and Social Security are a huge chunk.
Right. So, I mean, are we going to cut those? Defense, as you said, is like 12% of the budget. In order to get us back to a balanced budget, you are going to have to do things that hurt. Okay. And I think we should have that conversation. but that's not what we're
Me too.
having here. There's going to be a lot more work.
It's just the
to get there.
beginning.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning. Everybody's celebrating their new portfolio. Once the talk actually begins, you are welcome here, Mr. Smith, to say what's being said and what's not being said. And I wish you the best until then.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me the chance. Happy to come back.
Absolutely. I'll see you again. Take care, sir. Congressman Adam Smith. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Let's talk a little bit more about the vibe of the reaction to this manhunt and what it says about us, because I think there are a few things that have been hunted and are getting murdered in our society right now. Next.